is one rule in the Tyler Robinson trial that just broke everything. The prosecutor has been talking, and now the death penalty is collapsing over one broken rule. They also have a secret deal that they refuse to question, and prosecutors are now making fatal mistakes in this Charlie Kirk case. So what are they hiding inside that courtroom? The trial for the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk is locked down. It's locked down so tightly, you can't even walk into the courtroom holding a phone. You can't have a laptop or a smartwatch. You'll get stopped at the door. And the whole building is sealed up so much to protect this guy's right to a fair trial in the most watched murder case in the country. And then one of the prosecutors on that same case walked out, did a round of media interviews about the evidence, and wouldn't shut their mouth. So in the Tyler Robinson case, somebody is being kept quiet and somebody is out there talking to reporters. And I'm going to show you who it is and what they're hiding inside that courtroom, because it's not who you'd expect. And there is a secret deal that they are refusing to question. And the prosecutor is making some fatal mistakes in this Charlie Kirk case. So real quick, if you're new here, I'm Lauren Paritra. Willa Paritra and we run this entire operation, network free and independent, every single day. And we do it out of pure principle and out of absolute refusal to let people like Turning Point USA get the last word in, or Katie Miller, who is the wife of Stephen Little Bitch Miller. And you guys, you got to be careful out there right now, because it is Stephen Miller season. He's eating his little potbelly weight in algae right now at the bottom of the reflecting pool. But any second, he's going to come out. He's going to emerge from your drain. He's going to come from a crack in your floorboards. So be safe. Hit subscribe. Follow us wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on social. And hype is our love language. Let's start with the ground rules and why you should care about this whole thing. So the guy on trial is Tyler Robinson. He is accused of and killing Charlie Kirk back in September. He's charged with aggravated murder and a pile of other felonies. And the state wants the death penalty. So this is about as serious as it gets in a courtroom whenever capital punishment is on the table. But here's the part people are skipping over. He hasn't even entered a plea yet. Nothing has been proven against him. We're still at the stage where the court is only deciding whether or not there's enough evidence to go to trial at all. That's how early we are. And all of this while Erika Kirk is acting weirder than ever.
But when I said, I forgive him, it was because it was something I really meant. And again, it wasn't scripted. And I just knew that saying that was my moment of being able to literally make a statement against Satan, saying, you can take my husband and you can try to divide this country, but I refuse to let you take any piece of me, because I need to be here for my babies, and I need to also be here for what my husband left for us.
Money. Okay. That is strange, right? When you're talking about the passing of a loved one, especially in the circumstances that Charlie died in, are you really going to be bringing up Satan? The treble in her voice, like, it just feels strange. And also strange, some of the comments are saying it's strange that she doesn't consider Charlie a piece of her. And why does it always seem like she's acting?
That young man.
Your guess is as good as mine. If it smells like acting and it looks like acting, maybe it's acting. So everything that's already gone sideways has gone sideways before this real case has even started. And, you know, there's been a lot of shit that's gone sideways. There's also the gag order. The judge did the normal thing for a case this much of a media frenzy. He put a gag order on it early. Both sides were told to stop talking to the press about the evidence. The reason is simple enough. If the lawyers argue their case on TV every night, by the time you go looking for a juror of 12 neutral folks, there's nobody left. Nobody left in the state. This is a big deal, I'm sure, in Utah. What else is going down there in the summer? Everyone has already been told what to think. And that's a state that's very family, community, Mormon oriented. So I'd imagine that they are guzzling the Charlie Kirk Kool-Aid. So the gag order is there to keep the Charlie Kirk train from running through this trial. And it's supposed to protect the integrity of the trial, which is pretty reasonable rule. But then one of the prosecutors went and gave interviews anyway. And the deputy county attorney sat down with reporters and talked about the ballistics evidence and mentioned there was no evidence of a second shooter. And we have videos like this being dropped every day.
We had received a lead live on the show. Someone paid money to inform us that there was footage that the FBI was hiding, right? She wrote in, said, I have been trying to reach out to you everywhere. The FBI is hiding footage. The doorbell cam footage had more. This is what the person told us. She said the shooter is then seen changing his clothes and he is with a woman, she told me.
If you time how long it took him to get from that little part over to here, was way longer than it should have been. So I wondered if the girl had given him stuff, like if there is an accomplice. Sorry, you're filming.
And it said right here, that picture from Sam's across the street, he was right here.
Yep.
We have actually the woman who handed over her footage to the FBI saying, I wondered if that woman was an accomplice. Ladies and gentlemen, what the heck is going on? Who was the woman that was with the alleged shooter? Why wouldn't the FBI immediately release that?
Okay, so this is a clip from Candace Owens' show, reposted by Project Constitution. Exposed FBI allegedly sitting on additional doorbell camera footage showing Charlie Kirk's patsy with a female accomplice in a getaway car. Candace Owens revealed that she received a tip claiming the FBI was withholding critical doorbell footage from the Charlie Kirk assassination. According to the source, the footage, which was given to the FBI by a neighbor, shows an alleged patsy changing clothes with the help of a woman. The homeowner can be heard on camera wondering out loud whether the girl was an accomplice. Even more disturbing, in the original footage, a blue car pulls up directly in front of the house at the exact moment the patsy is walking up to the driveway towards the street. At least 2 individuals appear to be getting in the vehicle. However, the version released to the public, including the clip TMZ obtained the very next morning, was intentionally cropped and zoomed to cut out the blue car and the people getting inside, which raises serious questions. Who was the woman helping the patsy change clothes? Why did the FBI crop out the blue car and the people getting into it? Was this a coordinated getaway that the public was never told about? If this footage is real, it completely destroys the lone gunman narrative. It suggests that the patsy had help, both a female accomplice in a getaway vehicle, that federal authorities may have deliberately hidden information from the public. And I just want to clarify something, that a patsy is a term for a person who is easily manipulated, cheated, or made to take blame for others. It is synonymous with scapegoat or a pushover or a dupe. Just a little clarity on the lexicon there. Okay, so we remember Joe Kent also had some things to say about this case and how he was prevented from looking into it. And then we have Baron Coleman, who has also been somebody who's on the Republican side, who's been hot on this one too. Baron reports that a top Turning Point USA executive says a big position inside Turning Point USA is that Tyler Robinson was just involved and so were others. This executive says there were people in the know and maybe more people acting to support the crime. Acting, you say? Acting. We've just talked about some acting. Erika Kirk, Andrew Colvette, Blake Neff, skeezy, sleazy Blake Neff. I need to tell you about a 52-year-old man from Houston who just lost his life savings to somebody pretending to be his bank. This man did everything right, and in just a moment, his safety net became his trap. His name was Paul Schendel, and one day he got a call from somebody claiming to be Wells Fargo. The caller knew his account details. Then a woman showed up at his door, took his debit card, and cut it up right in front of him. He thought that meant he was protected, but he wasn't. He lost $6,800, everything he had. And when Wells Fargo told him he probably wouldn't get reimbursed, he had a heart attack and died the next day. These scams are smart, and they're designed to look real because that's how they work. There's no red flags or typos, just one message that feels routine. And everyone tells you the same things. Use strong passwords, enable two-factor authentication, set up those bank alerts, get a password manager, and honestly, those things help. But here's what nobody talks about: how your passwords, alerts, and security apps are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Right before you lose everything, your bank alerts don't get your money back. Your password manager does not prevent fraud. You're not actually protected. You're just more informed about your loss. So that's why I switched to CoverOn. It's more than just prevention. It's got real-time response and actual financial backup. CoverOn continuously monitors your personal data and accounts for signs of exposure or misuse. So when something goes wrong, you get alerts, you get recovery support, and you get access to experts who actually help you secure your accounts before it becomes a full-blown takeover. And if the money is already gone, you're covered for up to $10,000 in online fraud loss. Because you don't need notifications telling you you're screwed. You need actual financial protection. So use code LPTV for 76% off. I'll include the link in the description and pinned in the comments. Don't wait until a story like Paul's becomes your story. Protect yourself now. This is Barron's position. We're going to play it. It's also worth noting that this is also Candace Owens' position. And people are saying, has the Turning Point USA bot farm been located and shut down? I noticed a change this weekend, and now America is distancing itself from Israel's control. Coincidence? I think not. It sounds like Turning Point USA is crumbling in front of our eyes, and not everyone wants to go down.
A top TPUSA executive said that a big position inside of TPUSA is that Tyler Robinson was just involved and may not have pulled the trigger. He went on to say that the general consensus inside of TPUSA is that there were other people in the know and maybe more people acting to support the crime. In other words, Tyler played a role, but there were other people involved. Now, who those people were wasn't said. But the general consensus inside of TPUSA is that there were other people involved.
I mean, if you think about it, and you needed to find a patsy or a pushover or somebody, a lonely guy in Utah, I don't know. Zooming back out, the deputy county attorney, that's whose job it is to enforce the rules. And that's the side that has also broke them. This also, with the cameras and everything going on with the gag orders and all that being violated, that wasn't just the defense getting cute. It was the prosecution first. They were on camera talking about evidence in the case with the gag order on it, which is so wild because these are people asking to execute somebody. And again, the punishment that's on the table right now is capital punishment. The defense did what you'd expect them to do and asked the judge to hold prosecutors in contempt. One of the penalties they're asking for is pretty big. They want the death penalty taken off the table because of those interviews. Did the judge rule on it? Not yet. He pushed the whole decision to Friday, this coming Friday, partially because the defense kept filing motions right up into the hearing and said he needed time to actually read them. So sit with what that means. The judge looked at a prosecutor who broke the gag order. So they're asking, can you take the death penalty off the table? And he didn't call it frivolous. He said he needed time. Keep that in the thinker because we're going to come back to it. Because how seriously a judge treats a request tells you something before that judge ever rules on it. At that same hearing, the judge sided with the prosecution on something, and it's pretty standard. He said that they can use hearsay at the upcoming hearing. Hearsay just means secondhand information. So instead of bringing the person who actually saw it or said something, you could bring in a recording of them or a report about what they said. Normally, a court won't allow that because you can't cross-examine a piece of paper or a TikTok video, but the rules loosen up at this early hearing, though, because this isn't a trial. It's also a checkpoint where the court decides whether there's enough evidence to keep going. So that ruling is not a major scandal yet, and I'm not going to sell it to you as such. But hold on to that word, hearsay, for about 30 seconds. It's about to matter more than it does right now. So here's the part that made me lock in. A huge piece of the prosecution's case rests on one person. We covered this a couple days ago. It's Robinson's former roommate, Lance Twiggs, not a bystander. This was somebody who happened to be nearby, and the roommate and the alleged romantic partner. And the detail that changes this, that makes the whole feel of it different, is he has an immunity deal, which means he's been handed a very good reason to say whatever keeps him out of trouble. This is where things start to pay off. The prosecution doesn't want to put Twiggs up on the stand. They want to play his recorded interview instead. The defense said, fine, if your whole case leans on this one guy, then let us question him. Let us ask him about the immunity deal and why he's saying what he's saying. And the judge said no. So the most important witness against a man facing capital punishment, and the people defending that man can't ask him a single question. The state gets to play the tape, and the defense has to sit there and take it. In fairness, The judge left the door open to revisit it later. So this isn't like done and dusted or carved in stone, but the hearing that decides whether this whole thing goes forward, the biggest witness in that case is the one witness that the defense can't touch. So you don't have to think Robinson is innocent to feel something go cold at that. And then here's how we have Turning Point USA's best leading actors reacting to this.
So under findings, the preliminary hearing is limited to determining probable cause and is not a discovery device. The state is constitutionally permitted to rely on reliable hearsay to establish probable cause.
So I'm going to read Andrew Colvett's tweet. Judge Graff has denied the defense's motion to subpoena Tyler Robinson's boyfriend Lance Twiggs for the preliminary hearings. Quote, under findings, the preliminary hearing is limited to determining probable cause and not a discovery device. So based off of the foregoing analysis and findings, the court issues the following order. It is hereby ordered that the defendant's application for certificate of attendance of out-of-state witness is respectfully denied, and the state's motion to quash the subpoena is granted. So he says, translation, the prosecution can show a video of Twiggs, and he doesn't need to show up in person as the defense was requesting. There's some comments down here. Shut the fuck up. Translation, if you believed Robinson did this, you'd want every ounce that could help. You're sick, Colvett. It feels very weird. So here's how you know the defense is not necessarily bluffing. They're flying in 7 forensic experts. 6 of them are coming from the East Coast to pick apart the state's forensic evidence. You don't really spend that kind of money flying in experts across the country to challenge evidence that you think is really solid. You do that when you're convinced that there are holes worth the airfare. They even ask the judge to decide ahead of time whether those experts will be allowed to testify. So they aren't paying to fly people to Utah only to get turned away at the door. That tells you how much of a fight they're expecting over every piece of this. And back to the phones as we're kind of closing this loop out. Remember those phones? The smartwatch you can't bring in, you can't bring your laptop. On top of the device ban, Robinson's own team has been pushing to keep cameras and microphones out of the preliminary hearing. And I know how that sounds. The defense wants secrecy too. It's worth being honest about that. But let's look at what each side is doing. The defense is trying to limit broadcast coverage of a hearing that hasn't happened yet, which is them trying to keep the jury pool clean before the fact. And then a prosecutor going on a media tour about the evidence does the opposite, if you ask me, because that's the information that's already out the door. And then the hearing is still public and it will be streamed so people can follow along. We're going to be following along. This was never about hiding the case from you. This is about a case that is wrapped so tightly, somebody felt free to go chat with reporters. And that person wasn't the guy on trial for his life. So here's where I'm going to leave you. I'm not going to tell you that Tyler Robinson is innocent. I don't know that. And neither do you. That's the whole reason we have trials. What I am telling you is that this process is supposed to be the one thing in the room that doesn't take a side. It's supposed to be a jury of people, unbiased people. And in this case, the rules got broken by the people enforcing them. The biggest witness is the one the defense can't question. And the state asking to kill a man is on the side that couldn't stay off camera. So you're allowed to want Robinson convicted and also want it done clean. Those are not mutually exclusive ideas. And right now, this doesn't look clean. So we're going to be watching on Friday, and we'll be covering this whole thing. Every update, we will be here. We are independent. We are self-funded, bootstrapped. So we've got no skin in this game, literally. And I didn't even like Charlie Kirk, so I don't even know how we started doing this. Besides, it's just deeply fascinating to us, and we have a commitment to justice. And if there's somebody out there or Israeli psyops involved in this, I think we should know. And I think if, there's a reason Erika Kirk and Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett are giving us all the heebie-jeebies, we should know too. So how this is going to get handled is going to tell us so much more than really how it all ends. So follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a comment, 6 words or more. Hype this video if you've enjoyed it. And let me know what you think in the comments. What are you thinking? Legal experts weigh in, lawyers weigh in. civilians, weigh in. If you've ever been on a jury, weigh in. If you're from Utah, weigh in. I want to hear from you, and we're going to continue digging in.